about that sometime.
Demon ghosts. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Where Are All the Women? I'm Megan Murphy. This is Mary Lou Singleton.
Hi, everybody.
How are you, Mary Lou?
I am good. It finally rained here, so everybody is happy and relaxed. We hadn't had rain in a long time, and it was over 100 all last week, so we are all relieved.
Oh, we've had nothing but rain. It's been like monsooning over here, and we lost power for like hours and hours and hours the other night. It was crazy, like the whole town. And when we lose power now, like I feel like in the past when we've lost power, like you can sometimes still get a cell phone signal, but these days every time the power goes out, everything goes out. So you don't even have a phone. Like you can't even contact anybody. And it's gone out in the entire town, and so everything's just like pitch black and you can't really do anything. And I mean, it's sort of like I was out the other night with a friend of mine, and we were at a bar and the power went out, and so it can be kind of fun sometimes if you're out. It's not fun if you're home and then you're just like sitting around in the pitch black alone, sweating, nothing to do. But like so we stayed and hung out at the bar for quite a few hours and drank tequila in the dark. So that was fun. And then it was just like torrential downpours. And when it rains that hard, the streets turn into rivers. And so you're just walking around in a river and you're soaking wet and the whole town is pitch black and no one's anywhere because everything's had to shut down. And it's sort of fun on one hand, but also just like, oh, hey, what? Yeah. This is our season. So this is what it's going to be like.
I imagine nothing ever dries out.
Well, it seems to be okay. I mean, it's in some ways, I mean, the rain is nice. The power outages are tough, but the rain can be kind of nice because everything is so dry by the time it starts raining and so dusty. So finally the dust gets sort of resolved and then everything gets green and the rain cools things down too. So that's sort of nice. But yeah, the power outages are a little bit rough. But I do feel like I've been keeping the demons at bay.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I feel because I started wearing my Guadalupe.
Oh, good. Yeah, the demons hate her. Yeah.
So, and ever since after I talked to her, I was like, okay, I have to start wearing this because I really need to protect myself. It was just getting so crazy and chaotic, and I was so concerned because I couldn't figure out what was going on and how to make it stop. And I was like, I have to like leave town. But
because of the demons are driving you out of town. But it's getting better.
Demons. Yeah, nothing demonic has happened since I started wearing the Guadalupe necklace, and
excellent.
I've been out a little bit. I've been trying to go out less so that I'm in less spaces where there might be demons. So that's probably helped a bit. And then when I have gone out, I've just had fun and nothing chaotic and dramatic or toxic or demonic has happened. So I think that this is working, but now I can never take her off ever again. Like I've been like sleeping with this. I'm like, well, I guess that's that.
You could rotate through various demon repellent jewelry. You could get a Saint Michael. He's buff. He's all about slaying the demons. The Guadalupe's boyfriend, Saint Jose, Saint Joseph. His other name is the Terror of Demons. So if you want some variety in your demon repellent,
I do. I mean, I need all the help I can get. I think with the demons.
Don't we all?
I did a bunch of research on jewelry and stones and things like that keep demons away after we talked. So I think I do have some new intel, and hopefully, I guess I can maybe switch out my anti-demon jewelry. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It helps support the channel. And have you been wondering lately where all the men are? I thought this was like, oh, this is like the perfect title for our stream. It's like, where are all the women, but where are all the men? edition.
Where are all the men? I don't know. I see men everywhere I go. There seem to be a lot of them. I haven't noticed them missing.
I think it's so stupid.
Right.
It's like, what are you talking about? They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. I feel like there's more. There's more men around me than women are. Like it's just constant men. Like it makes me wonder when people ask these questions for reference, for people who are watching and don't know what I'm talking about. Since I never start off by explaining what I'm talking about, I just start talking. So there was an article in the New York Times last week, like maybe published Friday or something like that, Saturday, by somebody named Rachel Drucker, and the title of the article is, this is in the Modern Love column, Men, where have you gone? Please come back. And then the subhead reads, so many men have retreated from intimacy, hiding behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas, dabbling and scrolling. We miss you. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of issues, I think, at play. But as I read through her article, like one of the first things she mentions is that she had been engaging with this guy and there was chemistry and flirtation and, like a connection on Rhea, which is this like elite dating app. It's not just any dating app. It's the dating app for like, if you're, rich and maybe like you've definitely got some kind of status, and also you might be famous, like there's famous people on there and things like that. And I think you have to be invited in order to be able to join. So I'm like, oh, you can just drop, I'm on Rhea. I'm like, and so
Rhea.
So
I need to know more. Okay, so it's beyond like the upper middle class. Like you can't get on Rhea if you're just like a dentist. You have to be.
I don't think it's about money, really. It's just about social status. But your social, like it's for, you have to be. It's an elitist dating app, but it's not like that's not in the rules. That just is what it is. Like it's supposed to be you're looking for a certain class of people if you're on there. And you're like special and important yourself. Like anybody can't join this app. So, I mean, as we all know, I refuse to use dating apps. So obviously I've never been on there. But yeah, you can't be any like loser dud.
No. Oh, I bet it's full of personality disodered folks. That's interesting.
I know, like the worst. I mean, I think that all dating apps are awful. So it's not like, I don't know, probably not any worse than any other dating app, except that everybody's a snob.
Yeah, and an influencer. It's all influencers.
Yeah, it's probably actually, maybe it is the worst people. I mean, probably technically, like objectively, probably the people on there are more attractive for sure. But at the same time, they're their own category of annoying and intolerable, I'm sure.
Right. Okay, so she's on the fancy elite dating app.
So she had been on this dating app, and then, I guess the guy just didn't kind of follow up with her, this man that she was interested in, who she met. And she's 54 years old. I did try to look up her photo and I found her Instagram, and she's quite attractive. She's an attractive woman. She says she's been dating since the mid 80s, been married, been a mother, gotten divorced, had many relationships, long and short. And then says, I remember one part of heterosexual male culture involved showing up with a woman to signal something: status, success, desirability, i.e. like you're sort of advertising that you can get a hot chick. That's what she's alluding to there. Women were once signifiers of value, even to other men. It wasn't always healthy, but it meant that men had to show up and put in some effort. I don't understand why she thinks this is a thing of the past, because it's not. Like, men always want to advertise that they can bag hot chicks. Like, I don't know what she's talking about. Like, I feel like there's a faction of women who are operating in these urban settings, like I think women who complain the most about dating tend to be women from New York and from Vancouver and from places like that. And it sounds ironic, but it actually isn't. It makes a lot of sense. But I think that people who live in big cities in these urban settings are actually like a lot more isolated and lonely than people who live in smaller communities, because they don't have any community and they're really accustomed to just kind of operating on their own and not needing to, say, rely on their neighbor for anything. They don't really need help with anything. They can just order all their food on these apps on the internet, and they probably, a lot of them work online, so maybe they're not even in a workplace being around other people. And it's like, okay, well, if you live that kind of lifestyle, then and you're using dating apps to meet men, I don't actually find it at all surprising that you're having trouble connecting with men.
Right. Also, you're 54 years old. The kind of men who want a trophy girlfriend are not interested in you. Like, you've aged out. Sorry. So that's reality. Like, oh, the men who objectify women and want us as a trophy arm candy aren't interested in me anymore now that I'm in my 50s. That's not surprising. Like, is that what she's going for?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's like, because I think older people still date and have sex all the time. Like, you still hear about people, people get divorced in their 50s and 60s and remarry, you know what I mean? Like, I think that it's not, there's this whole online incel culture. Like, it's an online culture of very online men who don't, get out enough either. And so don't know a lot of women in real life, who think that, they're resentful and bitter at women because they're not getting laid. And they think that because of all these forums that they engage with, which are also filled with other bitter, resentful men who aren't getting out and meeting real women, they think that all women are sluts and gold diggers, and they only go for guys who are like 6'4" and over, and are rich and super attractive and have like a six-pack. And it's just simply not true. That's just not how the world works at all. And it's not how love works, and it's not how feelings work, and it's not how attraction works. But they always say, oh, nobody wants a woman over 25, and that's total bullshit. But yeah, you're right. That's I guess if you're like, oh, like, why am I not a status symbol anymore? It's like, well, like, you're probably maybe not going to be a status symbol, but that doesn't mean that you can't find somebody who wants to be with you.
Right. The kind of man who, quote, shows up, unquote, so he can attract a arm candy trophy is not looking for her. That's not, and I'm not sure that's exactly what she wants. It's fascinating that that's still her mindset of what showing up means, to he would show up so he can objectify me as his status symbol.
Right.
Okay. So what else does she say? Tell us the rest of her.
So the whole article is actually a little bit weird, because it seems like hyper focused on this guy that I don't get the impression she even knew. But so she says, I recently experienced a flicker of possibility with James. We met on Rhea, the dating app. There was something mutual from the start. Wordplay, emotional precision, a tone that felt attuned. It was brief, but it caught light. I remember saying to him, even fleeting connections matter when they're mutual and lit from the inside. I meant it. And then she says, there was just enough spark to wonder what might unfold, enough curiosity to imagine a doorway, but he didn't step through it. Not with a plan, not with presence. He hovered, flirting, retreating, offering warmth, but no direction. Sexual tension and a spark aren't reason enough to sit still and hope there's substance behind the shimmer. So I named what I felt. I texted him clearly with care, not simply to declare attraction, but to extend a real invitation to explore what was possible. I didn't chase, I invited, leaving the door open. If he ever wanted to cross the threshold, not just to take, but to meet, I was willing, I wanted, I still do. He never replied. Gasp. he would like, it's a fucking dating app. Like, what do you expect from these men? Like, men are just fucking around on there. Like, men aren't seriously on there looking for relationships. Like, you're delusional. That's not what dating apps are for, not from the male perspective anyway.
Also, she sounds pretentious and insufferable, and maybe he didn't like that.
Well, he might be just an insufferable too.
It's a little like a romance novel of I invited him to cross the threshold, not to take, but to meet. Like that's okay. This innuendo that is not. It's. I wonder what her text actually says. Does she have the exact words in there?
No, but it was probably dumb and desperate, and she probably was chasing him.
Yeah.
And then she says, he still follows my Instagram stories, one of those small gestures of passive engagement that so many of us now mistake for closeness. It looks like interest. It feels like silence. And then she says, there are thousands of Jameses. I have known dozens. The arc varies, but the undertow is familiar. What I won't entertain is directionless orbiting.
Okay. Won't entertain it.
I mean, yeah, I just, I mean, that I'm not, I can't, if you're on a dating app, you're wasting your time. That's all that a dating app is for, wasting your time. If you're a man, you're on a dating app and you're looking to hook up, you're scrolling through a zillion photos of faces and bodies, many of whom are probably bots. Often guys are switching back and forth between looking at porn and going on a dating app because like they're looking at porn and then they get turned on and then they imagine that maybe they'll find some woman on there who will come over to their house and have sex with them, which is ridiculous. I mean, I guess sometimes that happens to certain men, but I cannot fathom going over to the house of a man I met on the internet.
It's so dangerous.
Well, and also why would I want to do that? Like, I don't know, like how do I know if I like this guy or I'm attracted to him? I'm going to like get dressed and leave my house to go over to some stranger's house.
To maybe have sex with a rando.
To have sex one time with a stranger. Like, this is not like, it's the strangest concept to me. And women, I think women are mostly on dating apps to find boyfriends and relationships. Like women are on there wanting to go on dates, but most men, I think, are, just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And in general, I mean, I've talked about this a zillion times, but the people who design dating apps design them on purpose to function like slot machines because they want to keep you addicted and they want to keep you on the app. So you're scrolling, hoping you'll get a big win, like a hit. So maybe you see somebody attractive and you swipe right or whichever way it is that you like them. And then you're like, oh, but maybe I could find something even hotter. Like maybe I could find something with an even better match. So you keep going and then you've just wasted hours staring at your phone, scrolling through a bunch of phases of people that you don't know, maybe sending a message is going to go nowhere. And you could have gone out and gone to the gym and met a man, or like gone to the bar, gone to see your friend. You could have been enjoying your life.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's so indicative of our culture. Aren't there some dating apps that are focused on long-term relationships? Or dating services, online dating services?
Well, yeah, I think so. But like, I don't think that's how these apps function. Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. To me, the idea of ever meeting somebody online is so unappealing that I would never do it. And I don't need it. Like, I meet men all the time. That's the other thing is I don't understand why people can't meet each other. People are always complaining that they can't meet each other. Or, okay, there's somebody in the comments, PK Ramable is saying people don't even talk to each other in person anymore. They just text. And earlier people have said, men don't pursue women anymore. men have stopped pursuing women. Like, I think I hear that a lot, but that's not really what I experience in real life. I think there is a thing that is real, and that's that a lot of men are disinclined to commit. I think a lot of women end up in what they call like a situationship, where you're seeing somebody, you're hooking up with somebody, you're maybe dating somebody, maybe even like it sort of feels like a boyfriend or a relationship, but there's no real concrete commitment from the man. The woman wants more, and sometimes these things turn into more, but there's no clear path to where this is headed. And I think that has to do with, I mean, kind of something really basic, which is that, we talked about this a bit last week, I think, where, there's no marriage contract. There's not, because people have sex before marriage and because people have casual sex, because people start hooking up before there's any kind of commitment or a man, having any reason to be accountable to this woman, he isn't going to feel that much pressure to do so. And men don't attach as easily as women. So I think it's pretty easy for them to just, sure, she's fine. I like having sex with her. I'll just keep doing this for months on end until she leaves me. But he doesn't necessarily like her enough to commit, or he's just not in that mode or isn't ready to. So women end up in these sort of limbo situations and feel like hurt and they're not getting what they want. So I think that's like a real thing that's happening now.
We're all unmoored. We don't have any sexual mores anymore. It's all like the Wild West. It's not even Wild West. It's some new techno disintegrating society situation. You live in a place where people still get out and see each other. There's this vibrant scene there. And I know people who don't have a single real life friend.
What?
I know.
That's crazy.
Like all their community is online. They don't have anybody they hang out with. I know, it's really, really sad.
Do they feel sad about it? Like, do they wish that they had any real life friend, or they cultivated this lifestyle intentionally?
I think it just happens. I think we're seeing more and more social isolation. It's harder to make friends. COVID did a number on everyone, but I was seeing that before COVID, just people who didn't have any real life friends. I try to like hook women up with other, usually moms in my practice so they have friends. And then there's all this drama of like, silly me. I think people can work things out. You can, have conflict and tension and fights with your friends. Like Gen X, we all did growing up, we know how to work things out. Like everyone's in cancel culture with their friendships now. So people are afraid to make friends. I mean, a lot of women who say it's, they just don't trust other women. They don't trust other people. Men have always had a harder time connecting socially. And now we don't have the men's societies that we used to have, like, I don't know, the Elks Club, like the men's, the people just don't have real culture anymore. A lot of that's the internet.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys are in the live chat and you're asking questions or making comments that you want us to address, please use the super chat, because I'm having trouble keeping up with the live chat. And so I'm not seeing very much over there. So use the super chat, please, if you want me to notice something. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, people are just super lazy, and a lot of people don't put the effort into maintaining friendships and making friends and building community. That was, part of my annoyance when I was living in Vancouver, is how little people seem to care about making friends or maintaining friends or even going out. You know, so many of the women that I knew, I think I went out with men a lot more than I did women because my male friends still wanted to go out and do stuff. But my female friends didn't want to do anything. You know, these women are complaining, oh, I can't meet a man. And it's like, well, you're sitting at home in sweatpants watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And you don't seem to care about, you know, having a social life. I mean, meeting men or meeting women, you know, that requires having a social life and having a life and having friends and having a community and going out and doing stuff, because that's how you meet people. You meet people. I've always met people through friends or through acquaintances or through, you know, places that I'm going, like, oh, I see this guy at whatever, the coffee shop all the time, and eventually we talk, or, you know, hangs out at the same bar that I go to, or I've seen him at the gym a bunch of times and now I see him here and now, or, you know, like that kind of thing. Or you know, they're always you know, we never used to hook up with just strangers. It would always be people that you knew through like your family or through friends or through work or whatever, you know, school, university. So yeah, and I mean, most of the commentary online was around, and you know, probably this isn't in part in some way true, but most of it was around, this is all feminism's fault. So was that like,
everything's always women's fault? You know, it's all Eve's fault. It's always women's fault for everything.
Well, I do kind of blame women in some ways, because I just wrote an article responding to all this, and I was like, this is your fault, because first of all, you're using a dating app, and you're, you know, you have, you know, if you're not connecting with people and you created a life where you're not connecting with people, I think that's your fault. Then you have to change your life. Like, then maybe you have to move, or maybe you have to get a new job, or maybe you have to get a social circle or get some hobbies outside where you start meeting people.
No, I agree. I think go do something, make yourself useful, get involved with activities, figure out what you're interested in, and find other people who are interested in that. So yeah, I can see how people think this is feminism's fault, because there used to be a very prescribed social order, especially before birth control and legalized abortion, which were things men fought for as much as women. But get blamed, you know, everyone says that was only feminism, when men invented birth control and men pushed for, you know, the sexual revolution for no string sex. So before, when heterosexual sex was going to lead to pregnancy, we had very strong social guardrails around that, right? And that's all been removed, and we don't know really where we are anymore. We don't have any prescribed order, and maybe we don't want that. A lot of people were unhappy with the way it was before, but people long for the past when there was a rule book and things made sense, and, you know, it was, when you're having sex with someone, you're going to end up having a family with that person. So you better, you know, follow these rules or it will get bad for you.
I think that's for sure a thing. I mean, the reality is that if women, you know, young women seem to think they're in competition with pornography, which
it was very sad.
Yeah, which I don't think you should try to compete with pornography.
No.
I think you're good enough and much better than pornography. And, you know, a real life human.
Right.
But, you know, I think that women sort of advertising themselves in pornographic ways online is really desperate and embarrassing, and does give men the impression that women are up for grabs 24/7. And, you know, if you're meeting men on dating apps and going over their houses and sleeping with them, then why would a man ever pursue any woman or commit to anybody? I mean, I'm not saying, lots of men want connection too. And of course there's men who want to be in a relationship, but there's also a lot of men who are lazy and driven by their dicks. And, if they can have sex with no strings and no accountability and no commitment, then for a lot of men, they're going to be like, great, perfect.
I do think pornography has wrecked things. I also just think pop culture that promoted hookup culture, I blame Sex and the City for a lot of this mess. That was a horrible show that promoted a lot of terrible ideas about what relationships were about.
Yeah, I mean, I love that show, but I see what you mean. I loved it from like an entertainment. I feel like I've watched Sex and the City over and over and over again, but it was made by gay men, and so and like Samantha always weirded me out a lot. I could always sort of relate to like Miranda and Carrie, but Samantha never made any sense to me, because what woman on the planet is having random sex with random new guys every week and is totally unbothered by it? I don't know that is a real woman that exists in real life.
I hated everything about that show, and I think it was a mass mind control psyop on our culture, and it combined with other things too. I think it just wrecked things. That show was that predated the tsunami of internet porn, right? By a year or two. Didn't that show kind of came on the scene before that? And it's I have no idea what anyone found attractive about that show. I wanted to vomit every time I watched it. I just thought it was so.
How many times did you watch it?
I've been forced to watch it with other female friends. It's one of the reasons I was like I'm probably would think I was trans if I were born in a different generation. I think Sex and the City. I despise every single one of those women. I couldn't relate to any of them. It all seemed like a psyop to me to make women materialistic and hypersexual, completely appearance conscious. There's even a whole episode where she has a boyfriend who seems promising, but she can't stand it that he's intact, that he has an intact penis. And she tells him she'll only have sex with him if he mutilates his penis.
There's a lot of women who tell me that, or who have told me they care about it. And I'm like, what? Like,
I have no more respect for that than a man asking a woman to get cosmetic surgery on her breasts or her genitalia. But that was presented as something normal. Like circumcision is,
but maybe that's a gay man thing. Maybe gay men care about that a lot, because it was all like, once I realized that this show was made by gay men about gay men, but they just switched out the gay men characters for women, then I was like, oh, okay, that makes way more sense.
The normie women, the masses of women ate it up. This pop culture feast of putrescence. It was such a terrible show, and it just wrecked the minds of so many women. They also normalized shaving pubic hair before the porn epidemic as well. They were all about that. They're all about.
Did they?
Yeah, I thought there was an episode.
No.
There were episodes.
There's episodes about Samantha getting like gray pubes and trying to dye her pubic hair.
Didn't they normalize waxing? Were they talking about waxing?
Well, they probably got bikini waxes, but I don't think that they were going bald. Maybe some of them were. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway,
landing strip or whatever. I
don't need to defend their stances on pubic hair.
Gay men have had an inordinate influence on pop culture for a very long time, probably since the Roman Empire, since the Vatican, and certainly have been at the helm of the fashion industry and a lot of other things that have been harmful to women and to society in general. But that show, I don't think we can just blame the creators. I think it's gross. I think it's as bad as watching porn. That show was disgusting.
Oh, come on. It's as bad as watching porn. That's a crazy thing to say.
I think okay, maybe not. Maybe not. It's not the same as jerking off to filmed rape. You're right. That's worse. That is worse. That's worse. I hate it. I just hate Sex and the City.
I love that show. But I don't think that your critiques are invalid, but I did really enjoy watching that show. The only person that kind of gave me a yuck feeling was Samantha, because I just didn't relate to her at all, and I don't think there's a woman on the planet that relates to that character. Everybody was like a Carrie.
Carrie with the incredibly painful high heels and the crazy, consumer trends that they were pushing and really sick dating habits. Those women were dysfunctional and none of
I'm
them.
dysfunctional. Why do you think so many women related to Carrie? It's not because we aspired necessarily to have these like painful. I mean, she had like this on again off relationship for years and years and years with Big. I mean, they did finally get married, but he would show up and then leave and discard her and come back. But I've had sort of relationships like that before, so we relate. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I am saying,
why can't we have propaganda that helps women who are in these habits get out of them instead of glorifies it as this is the sexy thing, this is the hot way to be female?
I don't think everything is an advertisement. Sometimes things are just relatable because they're real.
Oh, I don't know. I think that show had a lot of money behind it.
No, but I mean, do you think that Carrie's relationships were sort of trying to model to women how they should be?
You know me. I think everything's a big conspiracy. Yes, I think it was a psyop on American women that fucked up our culture. Yes, I hate that show. I didn't know we never talked about this before in my deep contempt for Sex and the City. It runs.
I guess I'm not really surprised. But so shocking opinion, I suppose. Shot says Charlotte was happily married for most of the show. Mary Lou.
I know, and she's the one we forget. Has she been mentioned yet in our conversation?
She's uptight and dull. She's kind of prissy.
See, that's a psyop too. Of you don't want to settle down and get married. It's boring.
It wasn't that the reason that not as many people related to Charlotte as Carrie or maybe Miranda was because, I mean, I'm related to Miranda because she was pretty independent and career driven. Not that I'm necessarily career driven, but she was a pretty strong character who was pretty independent and did what she wanted and was she was a lot tougher than Carrie was in the man front. And she settled down with a really nice guy, Steve, with a really nice accent.
Yeah, I feel.
Bet you probably don't even know who Steve is.
No, because every time I watched it, I felt though I was being subjected to abuse. I didn't know. But I had to watch it a lot.
Now you're gonna have to watch every single episode and come back to me. We can't really have a real true discussion about this. Just like we can't have a real true discussion about pornography until we've watched all of the porn on the entire internet. No, Megan, it's not all like that. I'm like, I've seen enough. I have seen enough.
Porn. What about the feminist porn?
Yeah. What about the amateur? What about the adults who are just having a nice? What about the ladies who are just, sex fiends?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We love Steve. We like Miranda. You need to give this another try, Mary Lou. Sorry.
Never.
Okay. I feel like there was other things that I was going to say before we got caught up in this argument about Sex and the City.
Well, Sex and the City was set in New York. I don't know if you want to segue to anything.
I mean, I hate New York. I've always hated New York. But this woman who's complaining about not being able to connect with men lives in New York. And she's also clearly an elite. The other interesting thing that I have to mention about this woman that I don't think I caught it the first time I read the article somehow because I probably skimmed. And then when I went back for a closer read because I wanted to write about it, I found this. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. Okay. I spent over a decade behind the curtain of digital desire. As the custodian of records for Playboy and its affiliated hardcore properties, including sites like Spice TV, I was responsible for some of the most infringed upon adult content in the world. I worked closely with copyright attorneys and marketing teams to understand exactly what it took to get a man to pay for content he could easily find for free. We knew it worked. We knew how to frame a face, a gesture, a moment of implication, just enough to ignite fantasy and open a wallet. I came to understand in exact terms what cues tempt the average 18 to 36-year-old cis heterosexual man, what drew him in What kept him? I mean, does she even know what a man is? If she's using the term cis, does she
I
know what
know,
a woman
right?
is? Like, who's missing here?
We used to say red-blooded American. Now we say
Like, who are you
cis
looking for?
heterosexual.
Cis heterosexual
Yeah.
man.
Right.
No wonder you weren't connecting.
Yeah.
What drew him in, what kept him coming back, it wasn't intimacy, it wasn't mutuality, it was access to stimulation, clean, fast, frictionless. In that world, there's no need for conversation, no effort, no curiosity, no reciprocity, no one's feelings to consider, no vulnerability to navigate, just a closed loop of consumption. So I feel like it's like, wait, so you spent like 10 years, is that what she said? 10 years? Yeah, over a decade working for a porn company that specifically trained men to behave like this and to think like this about women and to treat women like this. And now this is your karma, babe.
That's exactly right. And it just reads like a dystopian novel, doesn't it? Like, so you pick up of, here's this character, and she was a high-powered porn executrix, and now she's created this world full of porn sick people who can't commit, and she wonders what's gone wrong.
And aren't looking for connection and don't even know how to connect because they're addicted to porn because you got them addicted to porn because you figured out how to do that because you wanted their money.
It's disgusting.
So I don't know, man. I really don't feel sorry for her at all. But I do. No. I really the feminism thing. I think that's what we sort of started talking about a bit before we got caught up in what a great show Sex and the City was. Is that I think like like it's there's so many men on the internet who were saying, women got caught up in this idea that independence, particularly financial independence, was the most important thing. So now there are these like high-powered, successful, financially independent women. So they want a higher class of men, and those men don't want them because they don't want this successful, financially independent women. So women screwed themselves with all their feminism and their independence and their autonomy. And I think there's some aspects of truth there, and then some things that simply aren't true, because it's, again, like there's so much about my life that just doesn't track with any of this. But I can acknowledge that my life is different than a lot of other people's lives. But it's like, I know so many women who are the breadwinners, like I know a lot of women who are, financially pretty together and have boyfriends who don't really make much money at all. And they love each other and they have families, or sometimes they're super dysfunctional and he sucks. But, like, I just don't think love is as simple as people make it out to be. I don't think people actually make that many rational decisions when they fall in love with somebody and have feelings. And I do know that, most often people of the same class date other people of the same class, but I don't even think that's necessarily about making practical, rational decisions. That has so much to do with just, what you're used to and what you're comfortable around, and what kinds of people you're engaging with. Like, I don't really like or feel comfortable around rich people. I didn't grow up in that world. I like working class people. Those are the people that I like, feel like I can be myself around, and you don't have to put on a show for those kinds of people. And I've never really cared about those status symbols. Like, I've never even dated, none of my boyfriends even had a university degree before. I have 2.5 university degrees. Like I have a master's degree and a BA and 80% of another master's degree. Like, I don't even think about that when I'm meeting somebody. But then I'm probably on some level, I just don't find that super attractive, or I just don't feel comfortable around that for some reason. But it's not something that I'm like thinking through.
Yeah. It's so complicated. Like, I just feel like humanity is fallen apart at the seams, and this issue may or may not be at the heart of that. Like that we are a sexually dimorphic species that reproduces up to now through heterosexual intercourse. That's all changing with the repro-tech and everything. Like, we're in a real mess of a place, and we're not really allowed to talk about. Well, there's such a minefield, right? It's not that we're not allowed to talk about it, but anything you say about how to repair relationships within heterosexual pair bonding is just going to get you in so much trouble with so many people, right? So we tiptoe around a lot of this. And then you end up with these loudmouth voices, often from the manosphere, like I'm thinking like Jordan Peterson and Matt Walsh, who they have their ideas of what the problem is, but that's not really representing what women are thinking and or what most men are thinking. So I don't know what the solution is.
Well, I think a big part of the problem is that men and women really don't understand each other at all. And I think maybe they used to. Like, I think that what men and women need to understand is that they really don't understand each other. I'm not even saying they have to understand each other, but they have to understand that men and women operate very differently and are driven by different things and have evolved very differently. I'm not, there's, obviously physical, biological differences between men and women, but those things like, I meet so many guys who think that women enjoy casual sex as much as men do, and that it's fine. And they believe that, they hook up with a girl and they're like, oh no, she's cool. She says it's fine. She's cool with just casual sex and no feelings, no commitment. I'm like, no, she's not. She's not. Right. Even if she thinks she is, she's not. You can't, like, if you keep doing this, you're going to end up with drama because she's going to get mad. And she's going to get resentful and she's going to want more. And you're going to be like, what? I was honest with you. And we talked about this and you said it was fine. I'm like, it doesn't matter if she says that. That's not true. That's not how women work. And you can play dumb, but like, and some of them, they believe it. They're like, because that's how they are. So why would they don't know any different. They don't know what it feels like to be a woman. I know way too much about men because I spend so much time with these men and they tell me disgusting things that I don't even want to hear, but I know the truth about men. Like, I'm like, okay, that's enough, thank you. But like, so at least I'm trying to tell them that, but I don't even know. Yeah, if a man can have sex without feelings, why would he assume or empathize with a woman who can't, especially if she's saying that she can, and they're watching pornography and all this other media that demonstrates that women love having casual, no strings attached sex with strangers.
Because people's minds are wrecked from the propaganda, like the porn, like the Sex and the City, like every freaking sex scene in every show that I get subjected to, where it's like a man and a woman are attracted to each other. They kiss once, they're ripping their clothes off, he's bending her over something uncomfortable, and that's sex now. Like, that's the propaganda everybody's getting. It's wrecking us. It's absolutely wrecking us. So acknowledging that, I always bristle at the whole, this is how men are, this is how women are, just because of my own upbringing, where I always related a lot more to what people said men were like, including sexually. Like, I was always really hypersexual and orgasmed really easily and just wanted to go to sleep afterwards. Like, nothing people said about female sexuality made any sense to me of what I was experiencing in my body. So I don't know if that's the angle I would go at it from. For me, I think going back to the root of, we need to get back to teaching our youth, like, what do you want in your life? Like, what is your goal for your life? And if you want to have one long-term partner and what we used to call a marriage, and sometimes still do, and you want to have children, you need to start planning that shit out in your late teens and your early 20s. Like, you can't just make that a side gig that you're going to get once you have a career. Like, that clearly doesn't work. And if people don't want that, that's fine. But a significant portion of the population wants that. That's what they want. They want to find one person. They want to settle down with that person. They want to have kids with that person. They want that life. And that got very defamed. Like, the propaganda used to all be about that, right? It was all about romance and finding that guy and finding your prince and getting the girl, and it lasts forever. And then now you've got a family. And then the Brady Bunch and things like that. Like, the propaganda was about having a family. And then that all shifted. And I don't think feminism was in charge of that, because women don't run the entertainment industry and women don't run the media. There was just, who knows if it was intentional or not, but there was a massive propaganda shift to something else. And we're taught it was oppressive to want to settle down early, start having kids early. Men were taught that that they have all the time in the world, and it was normalized that men can start a family when they're 40. They'll, find a still fertile woman and start then. And the story got broken. So I would say go back to the youth and let's start really talking about that. Like, if this is what you want, how are you going to be on a life for that? In the same way of, like, if you are 15 and you want to be a doctor, your guidance counselor is going to tell you, you got to take this class and this class, and you got to you can't have anything below a B. And this is what you got to study in college. And this is how you're going to, this is what your next step will be. Like, I think we need to take it as seriously as that and teach people how to relate to each other, how to take care of themselves, how to be in a healthy relationship, start modeling it more, create more stories like that for people to see. Because I don't think it works once you're 35. And it's just, youth are flexible, youth are bold, like they can change, they're adaptable, but we get less plastic as we get older. And I know there are many stories of people finding the one and settling down for the long term after 35, but it's a lot less likely. It's just a lot less likely to happen.
Well, once you're 35, you realize that you like living alone and you don't want to live with somebody.
Totally.
So it probably becomes a lot more difficult. You're like, oh no, I know how I like things though.
Yeah. Well, and then I'd say to that group, well, what do you want? Like, have a goal. This is the Capricorn in me, but it's like, know what you want and then go for that from every step. Don't just assume it's going to happen, and step back and like, who has that? Whatever you want. Like, if you want to find long-term love, look around. What are examples of that and what did they do? And it probably wasn't get on a high status dating app full of ex-porn executives and go try to find a man who wants you as a 54-year-old arm candy piece.
Kitty Cat says, how about finding yourself? And if you meet someone along the way, cool. If not, cool.
Yeah, that's fine if that's your goal. And I think this is where we get to, like, what do you want in your life? And if that's what you want, go for it. But again, a significant percentage of the population does want marriage and children. That's still what a lot of people want. And if they don't want that, that's fine. I'm not pushing people into that. But if that's what you want, treat it as just as important as your career. Treat it as just as important as finding yourself. Treat it as your mission, like what you're working toward, rather than assuming it's just going to fall into your life.
Yeah, I think you do need to figure out what you want and then shape your life in that way. And, I think that, I think third wave feminism sold women a whole bunch of lies, including the lie that, they could have casual sex and that could be empowering. And that, you don't need a man. Like, that message is destructive. Like, it's like, the fact that women got really angry at masculinity for however many decades and called everything that was masculine toxic and, didn't understand that, a man should be a leader. And I'm not saying, I obviously have like a pretty dominant personality, but, that means that I need to be in a relationship with somebody who isn't like a total beta cuck because I can walk all over him. But like, you have to let a man be a man, and a man wants to feel needed, and he wants to protect, and he wants to provide, and he wants to, go out and hunt your food for you, or, like, you don't have to do everything yourself. You shouldn't have to be able to do everything yourself. And, masculinity is attractive. And there's a reason, you're a heterosexual woman. So are you not attracted to men and how men are? That's a bit weird.
Yeah, again, we're just all messed up. Like, women didn't like the rules anymore for really good reasons. Like, it sucked. It sucked that you couldn't go to college. It sucked that you were stuck with just housework drudgery. It especially sucked for high IQ, ambitious women to get absolutely stuck being dependent on men, not being able to have credit, not being able to have jobs. The only jobs that were available to you were teacher or secretary or nurse or nun or lab assistant. I know so many brilliant women now in their 80s who were such incredible scientists, and they ended up getting stuck as lab assistants for their whole lives. Things sucked. Women had a lot of very valid, legitimate complaints. And I see why women embrace birth control as well, because having one baby after another, like, really does a number on your mental health, and having more kids than you want to take care of and that you have the emotional capacity to care for is incredibly miserable for an entire family. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think we can blame anything. We could see this as a normal trajectory of the human story, that this happened, right? People always want to blame women for wanting a better deal, but here we are. This happened. How do we fix it is my question. And
well, women did get a better deal. I mean, this is why, there was no real feminism after the second wave. And like third wave feminism, I don't think did anything for women at all. And in fact, in a lot of ways, it made things worse for women.
Oh, third wave, absolutely.
Equality should have been stuck in legislation, right? Like the idea, there's no such thing as real equality in general, but there's no such thing as equality between men and women. And that should have just been about laws ensuring that women had the same opportunities that men did in education and in the workplace and things like that. And, making marital rape illegal and so on and so forth. But like, but I think it became women can do everything that men can do and should, and that's the route towards empowerment, and that's a lie.
Well, and so many women of my generation watched their mothers trapped in miserable marriages without any financial way to get out. And I think women don't trust men and want to have their own money. Like I trust my husband implicitly, but I can't, I have this primal distress if we're out somewhere and I don't have any money on me. Like I can't stand it to be financially dependent on him because of, 6,000 years of trauma and stress about that. Like I need to know I can take care of myself. Yeah. I'm lucky enough to have landed up in a good heterosexual relationship, but a lot of people watch their parents be miserable, watch their mothers have no escape, and don't want to ever be dependent. And again, this is where we're at in the human story. I'm not blaming men or women. I think it's where we're at. So how do we fix this when it's not really working for people? And is it even fixable? I mean, if we try to fix it, probably we're going to end up with a different kind of bad, because that's the human story too, right? It's just
I mean, I always feel like, I never wanted to be in a marriage or to have babies, in part because what had been modeled to me by my parents, which was, my parents didn't have friends or a community or family. All of our extended family lived really far away. I rarely saw them. It was just us. So first of all, I found it really boring, and I was always jealous of all my friends. They would have like big family events with 1 million cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents and so on and so forth. And, they just had this super codependent, really what I saw as like an unhealthy, toxic relationship. And I just thought, this seems horrible. Like, why would I ever do this? Like, I never saw marriages that seemed like fun or like, and because I didn't want to have kids, I just, I think I didn't really see the need for that. So, it's not like, I think that women should do whatever they want to do. I did whatever I wanted to do, and I'm glad because I'm very happy. But the reality is that, like you said before, if you want to have kids and you want to have a marriage, you can't really just mess around forever. And I don't know if you should prioritize your career. If you want to prioritize your career because that's the most important thing for you, then you should do that. But if the most important thing for you is to get married and have kids, then that should probably be the most important thing for you.
Right. And that's a valid path, and that got so defamed. Again, my generation, there was just such propaganda against the word housewife, homemaker, those were shameful things to be. Even mother was a shameful thing to want to be. That's a side
That's how
gig.
I felt.
That's a side gig.
Yeah.
I remember in my first day in public high school. So I'd gone to Catholic school, through 8th grade. And when I went to high school, my first day, I'm like in the gifted program, and I'm meeting all the smart kids, and we're all like being, we're all new in high school. And they went around and asked everybody what their career plans were. And everybody's like, doctor, lawyer, engineer, on like professional path stuff. And one girl in my class said she wanted to be a mother, that's what she wanted to be, was to be a wife and mother. And the teacher shamed her so hard and like encouraged all of us to ridicule her. And then it wasn't enough for the teacher to shame her. The teacher then got the director of the gifted program, Dr. Zelafro, who came in to also shame her. And for the next 4 years, it was occasionally brought up to be mocked that, oh, she's the one who wanted to be a wife and mother. Like, what a waste of intellect. What a stupid thing that she said that one time on the first day of 9th grade. That's the messaging that the high IQ girls of my generation got relentlessly. And it was literally mocked if you said you wanted to be a mother as your primary ambition. And now I think that was a bad idea. I think that was a mistake.
Yeah. That's how I felt for sure. I thought that was like silly and pathetic. But yeah, I mean, I think, between that and the, porn hookup culture, because it, what third wave feminism did is that it turned these kinds of frank discussions into slut shaming. And I still get accused of slut shaming, and, I don't know if they're using that term necessarily anymore, but, when I say things like, casual sex isn't great for women, or, if you do want to get a commitment, or you do want to get married, like, you should get a commitment from a man, and like, don't thought yourself out on the internet. And then, people will yell at me as though I'm criticizing women who want to have casual sex. And I'm not saying that. I mean, if you want to have casual sex, have casual sex. But I don't think that it's satisfying for women. And I just want women to be honest with themselves and aware of the fact that sex isn't casual. Like, for women, sex is not a casual thing. And it doesn't mean you don't have desires. Of course we do. I have those desires, and I've had casual sex before, like, I get it. But, be honest with yourself and don't lie to yourself and think that you can just have no strings attached sex with a man, because you can't.
No.
Like, that you just can't. Like, you can't keep seeing a man and think you're not going to attach to him and bond and want something more from him, and then that you're not going to be hurt when he doesn't want that also, or won't give it to you.
Well, so you're not going to have a good time. Like, it's just like you've said before, having good sex requires trust, and you're not going to trust some guy you just met, especially on a dating app, some stranger. And it's so interesting. It gets framed as shaming. But I view it more in the line of advice of, if you ask me, I would say, don't even try meth. Just don't do it. Like, I think it's in that same category. Like, it's not going to, nothing really good is going to come to you from that. And do what you want. But if you ask me, I'd say that's just not a good idea. I don't think it's healthy.
Well, it's protective. Like, it's trying to, and like, I'm trying to help you help yourself, I guess. And I'm trying to share what I've learned from my experiences as a young woman growing up in that third wave feminism. It's empowering to behave like a man. Like, girls can be players just like boys can, kind of hook up culture that turned out to be BS, and where I ended up, feeling hurt or discarded or disrespected as a young woman so much, and didn't really understand why.
I think that we need to bring back the culture of extended makeout sessions without intercourse while you're dating.
You keep saying that, but that's not realistic. When was the last time? You just don't know.
I mean, through college. I had casual sex sometimes, but I had a lot more fun with the extended makeout sessions.
If I'm having an extended makeout session with somebody, I'm going to have sex with them.
But why? Why not just wait until like?
Because I don't have that kind of self-control. What do you mean why?
Okay, so I just like said like I was always
like,
having.
what do you?
Well, I was always having orgasms during extended makeout sessions. So maybe that's a difference, you know? Like for me, it was like,
no.
okay, I'm done. Like, see you next Saturday. That was a lot of fun to just dry hump a guy and make out with him all night.
Okay, well, you're having a completely different experience than
than a lot of women, apparently. Okay, so
that would not be satisfying for me. That would be frustrating and annoying for me. Like I was like, why would should just not do anything? That's like.
Oh, okay. So you weren't having the same kind of fun.
Well, if you're not having sex, how are you having orgasms?
Just like dry humping a guy for
okay.
Or sometimes like doing other things, like not like intercourse.
That's not. I don't want to get too descriptive about how my body functions, but that's not how my body functions.
Okay. All right. I'm promoting edging.
I feel like I've divulged too much on this stream. Somebody said earlier that this is kind of irrelevant to what we're talking about, but I thought it was an important point. Russ said, where did Russ's comment go? You guys, please start using the super chat. Ladies, you may not be too into athletic stuff. In fact, you may hate the idea of playing golf, but I'm telling you, if you take a lesson or two and are willing to go out there, you will meet men. This is what I say all the time. I'm like, you want to meet men? Join a martial arts gym because that's where all of the hot, awesome men are. Or just, any kind of sport or whatever.
I think there's a disproportionate amount of domestic violence in that community from what I see.
I think they're awesome. Most of them are awesome.
But
I think there's some abusive men in that community too, but most of the guys that I know who are really into, but not all for sure. There's terrible things that happen. But most of the men that I know who are really, really into like jujitsu and stuff like that are really, really good guys. And they're like not out at the bar, they're training and they're, because you got to be, if you're going to be really good at that, you have to be very committed and regimented and pretty together. But I mean, there's going to be always.
Okay. I think golf's a great idea. I think that, joining the gym, men are in those places.
Any kind of sport, like co-ed sports, just like casual, whatever. I don't know.
And if you're a spiritual person, go to church, join a church. There are lots of like singles meetups there. There are many options for people of many different persuasions.
Okay, we have a super chat.
Yay.
Richard wants to know which other television programs you might think were psyops.
I think all of them. Okay, what? Like Leave It to Beaver was a psyop in the 50s of promoting this. Like we all acknowledge that, right? Of like promoting this nuclear family where these are the rules. I think most pop culture is designed to shape pop culture. And let me think specific ones, but definitely. I think the Brady Bunch was to normalize blended families, and they were both widows, but I think that was like to normalize the blended family right before the mainstreaming of divorce happened. I'll keep thinking. I'll have more for you next time. But, honestly, the answer is all of them. I think everything's a psyop. That's just who I am.
I mean, but I guess I'm wondering, like, you think it's intentional, or do you think that they're just responding to culture, like what's happening in the culture, which maybe that's all a psyop. Like maybe third wave feminism was a psyop to stop people from reproducing and render women infertile through overuse of hormonal birth control and by getting everybody addicted to pornography. But I don't know that the creators of Sex and the City were like, I know what we're going to do to women. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think it's to shape culture more than to reflect it, which it absolutely did. I think, and I do think what gets called third wave feminism was a co-optation of the women's liberation movement and was not about continuing the liberation of humanity at all. Gloria Steinem worked for the CIA. Like she was like literally a CIA operative.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever third wave feminism was and however it happened, it was totally stupid and destructive.
Absolutely.
But I think, yeah, the kinds of men who spend a lot of time criticizing feminism online don't really understand that there's like a particular faction of feminism that was particularly dumb.
Right, right.
But I think most of what happened before that was good for women, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And things had to change. They just had to change. Women weren't going to put up with it anymore. And this is what happened. And I'm tired of people blaming all around. And I think it's like, how are we going to fix it from here? Like, just this is all women's fault, or even my, like, this is all Matt Walsh's fault, or whatever. Like, I don't want to blame. I think we're in a mess. We don't know how to relate to each other anymore. We're making our babies in labs and growing them inside of poor women and feeding them genetically engineered goo. And we're not going to get through this bottleneck unless we figure out a way to get back to our roots of just knowing how to get along with each other and how to pair bond.
Yeah. And I think I just, so much of my advice is always just like, leave your house and to go outside. Right. But also, I mean, do things that are good for you and that make you feel good. And I'm not talking about eating cookies. And talking about things that make you feel good about yourself and make your body feel good in the long term more. And stop taking relationships with other people for granted and human connection. Stop complaining about people all the time. I hate this meme that is constantly going around where people are so relieved when plans get canceled and they can just stay home on the couch and like, oh God, I had to talk to a person today. It was horrible. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is the point of being alive if all you want to do is be by yourself in your house staring at the internet?
Right. That. And then, it's so hard.
And how are you ever going to be turned on by somebody if you're not around them, like smelling their pheromones? Like, what do you think?
It's hard for me to go out because I'm an empath. I just pick up on everybody's energies. Like, there's this normalization of agoraphobia happening where people don't leave their homes. They're terrified of other humans.
Or where they think that being antisocial is some sort of innate condition. Like, it's like, you know what? Like, I'm very good at socializing, but when I was a kid, I was really shy and insecure. Like, these are skills that you learn through practice and through doing them. Like, you get way more comfortable talking to people, strangers even, by talking to people and talking to strangers. And you can cultivate social skills by doing it. And like, there's times where I'm out and I feel antisocial. Everybody feels like that sometimes, or there's times when, I feel like I don't want to be around a ton of people, but you can't, it's living in fear. Like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. This gives me anxiety. So I'm not going to do it. And I'm just going to retreat into myself and tell myself that it's just because, well, I'm not like Meghan. I'm antisocial. It's like, no, you're not like me, of course. But it doesn't mean that you can't be a social person and learn how to talk to other people and get past that sort of nervousness and that maybe, anyway.
You don't have to go to like a huge crowd if that's not your thing. You can, I don't know, go find something that you like to do, like a bird watching group, or there's like a board game emporium in my town that people go and just hang out and play board games with each other. That's a nice, like, someone who enjoys small group interaction thing to do. There's so many ways to hook in. It doesn't have to be a crowded, loud place like a bar or a concert. There are other places to be social.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we should probably wrap up soon. Okay. I think so. This woman, in conclusion, Rachel Drucker, in her Modern Love column, she concludes this by saying, I mean, none of it makes any sense to me. It just seems like she got hurt by this man ignoring her, and then it's like, where are all the men? So she says, you've retreated not into malice, but into something softer and harder all at once. Avoidance, exhaustion, disrepair. Maybe no one taught you how to stay. Maybe you tried it once and it hurt. Maybe the world told you your role was to provide, to perform, to protect, and never to feel. I'm like, dude, this is not what's going on. But here's, you're just scared of your feelings. Here's what's real. We never needed you to be perfect. We just needed you to be with us. Not above. This is a bad column, I've decided. Not above, not muted, not masked, just with. Now that I'm reading it out loud, I'm like, this is really bad.
I know,
and you can still come back, not by becoming someone else, but by remembering what connection feels like when it's honest and slow, when it's earned and messy and sacred. We're still here, those of us who are willing to co-create something true. We are not impossible to please. We're not asking for performances. We are asking for presence, for courage, for breath and eye contact, and the ability to say, I'm here. I don't know how to do this perfectly, but I want to try. Come back, not with flowers or fireworks. Shut up. Do come back with flowers, but with willingness, your whole beautiful, imperfect heart. And we're still here, and we haven't stopped hoping. As for me, I'll keep showing up, not because I'm waiting, because I know what it feels like when someone finally arrives. This is just all one big cope. She's acting like she's not meeting a man because they're scared of vulnerability and connection and emotions. And she's like, don't worry, we're here for you. And I'm like, I don't think that's what's going on. I think you're probably just trying to meet the wrong men in the wrong way.
And this is all clearly inspired by this interaction with this guy that she felt sexually attracted to and thought she could relate to him, and he blew her off. And I would love to see a reaction column by that guy, like his perspective of what actually happened, maybe titled like, Dear Women, what the fuck is wrong with you? Or something like that.
She probably wrote him like in a really annoying, like 3-paragraph long cheesy text, and he was like, I don't know this lady. Why is she saying all this romance shit to me?
I'd love to read a column ostensibly written by him in a reaction to this soul-bearing, cringy, piece that she wrote. She's just insufferable. It reads like satire. I mean, it's comical, but it's also pathetic because it's not satire.
Yeah, it's really, it's annoying. I remember a long time ago, I think maybe even before I'd ever been published. So this would be, 2010 maybe. And I remember pitching something to Modern Love that was rejected, and I was just so sad because I thought that it was perfect for Modern Love. I haven't read it in retrospect, but it's probably not all that great because I had never been published before, so I probably was not a very good writer. But I'm like, this is what, like, they have very high standards. Like, it's really hard to get published in the Modern Love column. Like, people send them stuff all the time, and they're very, very picky. And I'm like, this is what you chose?
Totally. So to answer, like, what else do I think is a psyop? The Modern Love column in the New York Times. I think the entire New York Times style section is clearly, it's a trend setting. I don't know if psyop is the right thing, but it's a ruling class trend setting. Like they were selling trans kids as though they were like the new Gucci purse not that long ago. So of course the Modern Love column is it's always pushing some social pathology.
I mean, I haven't read it in ages. I stopped reading it because I stopped enjoying it, and I don't even remember why. I just think, I mean, I'm sure it got caught up in all the woke stuff just as much as everyone else did, but it sort of feels like flowery columns that are pointless and go nowhere, which is where this column goes. It's like, what are you saying? What do you want? What's going on? What are you talking about?
It's so Orwellian that it's usually not even about love. It's just about infatuation and dating and how it didn't work out. It's rarely a column of like a happy love story, because again, that's not the propaganda we're being sold right now. We just aren't seeing the happy love story anywhere. But that used to be what was being sold to us. Like, bring back, like, what we have some something analogous to The Notebook. Remember, that was propaganda for romantic love and long-term love and marriage and sticking it out until death do we part. And it, you know what? It was great. It had sexy young actors who turned into interesting older actors, and people, women in particular, loved that movie. Men who loved women went to see that movie with them. It was a good litmus test for women who are into that to see if their guy was selfless enough to sit through The Notebook with her, you know, and pretend to like it and pretend to appreciate it. Maybe some guys appreciated it, but it was definitely aimed at women.
I still love romantic movies with happy endings. Like my rom-coms used to be my favorite, and now they've gotten so, I mean, so many movies have gotten so bad now, but you know, I want to watch like When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
What a good
Totally.
movie.
No. All right. Did we fix it all? We fixed the dating scene?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I should fix my own dating scene. I love giving other people advice, but I should take my own advice. Okay. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And I wrote an article about this very column that we've been discussing for an hour and 20 minutes. And it's on my Substack, which is at www.meghanmurphy.ca. And I link to it down below in the show notes on YouTube, but I'll put it in the chat also. Please it's behind a paywall because I probably write about half of the stuff I publish for everybody for free. So you're welcome. But I have to put some stuff behind a paywall because I want to offer something to paid subscribers and because I need to make a living. So please become a paid subscriber. It really helps me a lot. And it's only $5 a month. And you also get early access to the video versions of my podcast. And I'm on Twitter at Meghan E. Murphy. Mary Lou is on Twitter at ML_Singleton. And Mary Lou is also on Substack if you just search for Mary Lou Singleton. And we'll be back next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks, Mary Lou. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.